What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Two Game Podcast, where I am here to break down episode 6 of Star Wars Skeleton Crew. Let's go ahead and recap the episode, and then afterwards, I'll give you my overall thoughts on episode 6. So, Jod and SM-33 are captured by the pirates and Pocket. The pirates take Jod and SM-33 back to Brutus for execution. Meanwhile, the children drop out of Renaud's lair at the bottom of the resort. KB reveals she memorized At-Aten's coordinates. A subsequent argument over how to reach the Onyx Cinder results in Fern and Neil trying to ascend the mountain while Wim and KB follow a group of seemingly benevolent trash crabs. Jod manages to earn himself a stay of execution in exchange for the location of At-Aten. Midway, KB cybernetics suffer a malfunction from corrosion, forcing Wim to fix them. Fern and Neil recover the Onyx Cinder and save their friends before they could be eaten by a giant trash crab. And then soon the ship is pinned by a garbage machine, forcing the children to purge the hull, revealing a sleeker ship beneath as they depart Lanupa. So this episode was directed by Bryce Dallas Howard, which, if you've been following any of the Disney Plus Star Wars shows, she has directed several really great Star Wars episodes. A lot of my favorite episodes from that TV series she directed. So going into this episode, I was pretty excited because of track history, right? This episode is okay. It's good. It's not great. It's not bad by any means. It did struggle at times to keep my attention, mainly because there wasn't really anything compelling going on screen. But when the show diverted its attention to the trash crabs, specifically the huge one, the one that kind of looks like from Moana, and then we have the trash compactor at the very end, those two sequences, easily the best of the episode, and it definitely kept me invested. But when it got to the character work for this episode, I wasn't all that intrigued by it, to be honest with you, because we've gotten some very, very minor character development for Wim, a lot of development for Fern, and then even Neil. We've gotten some development on him a couple episodes ago. And if we're being honest here, KB has been put on the back burner for the first 5 episodes. So it's kind of like, I don't even know who she is as a character. I don't know her personality. I don't know anything about her character. So it's time to actually develop her and show who she is as a character in this TV series. And that's kind of why I'm so disappointed by this episode, is just because what they decided to do in terms of developing KB and Fern's relationship is just not all that compelling to me. It felt really underdeveloped. It just seemed like the conflict between KB and Fern just got resolved super quick and easy. It was just like they got pissed off at each other, and then at the very end, they were both like, "I'm sorry." And then that was the end of the conflict between them. And to me, I felt like it could have used a little bit more drama. There just needed to be a little bit more there for me to be interested in this storyline, which really sucks because this is the first time that we've gotten any inkling of character development for KB. So when they finally decided to, give her some screen time, it's very, very lackluster. But when it diverts itself away from the character development and it leans more towards its action sequences, I think those are really where this episode shines. Now, Bryce Dallas Howard, she has done a great job of kind of mixing both with Mandalorian. So again, I was very excited to watch this episode to see what she would do on both fronts. And to me, the character side of this episode really suffered. I just personally was not invested in anything that was going on with these characters. And that's sad because I think up to this point, they've done an okay job of developing them. But the action stuff was really, really great. And specifically, I don't think I've actually mentioned it in any of my reviews yet, but the special effects for this show, so damn good, especially with that large trash crab. I thought that was designed really, really well, and it looked great. The special effects were done really well. And then the action sequence with the ship versus the garbage compactor of sorts, I thought that whole sequence looked freaking fantastic. And that just kind of infuriates me a little bit more when I look back on the Acolyte and just how much that show cost and just how much they just dumped into that show, and we just got nothing back in return for the Acolyte. And this show, even though it might not be to the heights of some of the best Star Wars properties out there, it's still decent to good overall. this show looks really great. The cinematography is absolutely fantastic. And this episode, to me, probably looks the best out of all of them. I think the set design looks really good. It feels all lived in. It doesn't feel super empty to me, which is great because Alkalite was exactly that. Say what you want about the Alkalite and its story and its characters, but the show looked like hot garbage, guys. Like it totally did. And to compare these two properties next to each other, this one, you could put this up for an award for best cinematography if you compare it to The Acolyte. But yeah, personally, I was not a huge fan of the character work in this episode. I thought it was very lackluster, didn't really keep me invested in the episode. In fact, I found myself kind of scrolling my phone, scrolling through Twitter or Facebook whenever the characters were kind of talking back and forth. But when it came time to the big action set pieces, I was completely involved and invested in the show. And I kind of wish that they would have picked up the character side of it a little bit more in this episode to make this a really great episode on top of it, because the action sequences are pretty damn good. But overall, it's a solid episode, and I think with this being the 6th episode, we have 2 more episodes until the conclusion of season 1. I think this show has, I don't want to say it outstayed its welcome for me. It's still decent. It's still a good watch overall, but I find it difficult to come back to this thing every single week. I feel as though if they had released all these episodes at once, I'm curious to know what my thoughts about this TV show would be. Like, would it be, oh, that was really good, to binge it all in a couple of days versus week after week trying to keep up with this show with everything else that's coming out on streaming services. What would this show be if it released all at once versus once a week? And I just find myself struggling to come back to this thing every single week. Honestly, it's the content creating side of it that kind of brings me back. Like, it's been good, but not enough to really keep me invested in this show. If it wasn't for the podcast, I probably would have dropped this a couple episodes ago, because I feel like it's good, but not enough to kind of waste my time on. But guys, let me know down in the comments below. How are you feeling 6 episodes in to Skeleton Crew? Is this a show worth watching to its finale? Are you keeping up with it? Are you struggling as well? Let me know down below. But yeah, that's going to be it for me, guys. Also in the description below, we have links to all of our social media accounts. We would greatly appreciate it if you went there, like, subscribe, follow, do all that shit. Really, really helps us out. And with that being said, I will catch y'all next week on the next one. Laters.